Commander Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He jumped up from his desk, spilling hot coffee on his uniform, and ran to the main control room of Earth's deep space monitoring station. The huge screens were flashing red, and his team was already working at their computers. "What's happening?" Jake asked as he reached the central console. Dr. Lisa Parker looked up from her screen. Her face was pale and worried. "Commander, we're getting a signal from deep space. It's not from any human ship or station. This is something else." Captain Ben Hughes turned around in his chair. "Sir, the signal is coming from multiple star systems. At once, someone is broadcasting this message across the entire galaxy." Jake felt his heart beating faster. In all his years running the monitoring station, they had never received a signal from aliens. Earth had been alone in the galaxy as far as they knew. Now something was trying to talk to them. "Can you decode it?" Jake asked Lisa. Lisa's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard. "I'm trying, sir. The signal has mathematical patterns that suggest intelligence. Give me a few minutes." The room was quiet except for the sound of computers working and people typing. Everyone knew this was the most important moment in human history. First contact with aliens was happening right here. Right now. After 20 minutes, Lisa suddenly sat up straight. "I've got it. Commander, you need to hear this." She pressed a button, and a strange voice filled the room. It sounded like it was coming from underwater, with clicks and whistles mixed in with words that were almost human. "This is Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha of the Galactic Coalition Emergency Command. We send this message to all worlds capable of space travel. Our civilization faces complete destruction. The Zephyrian horde has broken through our outer defenses. They are destroying entire worlds and killing billions of innocent beings. We need immediate help from any species that can provide ships for evacuation operations." The voice paused, and Jake could hear what sounded like explosions in the background. "We have identified your world as inhabited by what we call Deathworlders. Your planet's extreme conditions have likely made your species stronger than most others in the galaxy. However, we understand that Deathworlds typically have limited space capabilities due to the difficulty of developing technology in such harsh environments. Any help you can provide, even a few ships, would be greatly appreciated." The message continued with coordinates for 3 star systems that needed help. Jake wrote down the numbers, but his mind was spinning with what he had just heard. "Deathworlders?" Ben asked. "They think Earth is some kind of death planet." "Apparently," Lisa said. "But they also think we only have a few ships because our world is too harsh to build much technology." Jake picked up the red phone on his desk. This phone connected directly to Admiral Patricia Collins, the commander of Earth's space fleet. She answered on the first ring. "Admiral, we have a situation. You need to get down here right away." 20 minutes later, Admiral Collins walked into the control room. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Behind her came President Nathan Cole and 3 members of the Global Defense Council. "Play it again," Admiral Collins said after Jake explained what happened. They listened to the alien message 2 more times. When it finished, the room was silent. For a long moment. "How many ships do they think we have?" President Cole asked. "Based on their message, maybe 10 or 20 at most," Jake answered. "They seem to think Deathworlds can't build large fleets." Admiral Collins smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "They have no idea, do they? For the past 100 years, Earth had been building ships. Not just a few ships for exploration or defense, but an entire war fleet. The project had started after scientists realized that Earth's harsh conditions made humans naturally stronger and tougher than life would be on easier worlds. If there were dangerous things in space, Earth wanted to be ready. Hidden in asteroid bases and deep space stations, Earth had built over 800 warships. There were massive battleships with armor thick enough to stop meteors. There were Fast cruisers that could outrun anything. There were carriers full of fighter ships. There were support vessels and medical ships and supply ships. Every human in the space fleet had trained their whole life for war in the vacuum of space. They could fight in zero gravity, in radiation, in the cold emptiness between stars. Earth's high gravity and violent weather had made them ready for anything the universe could throw at them. "Sir," Admiral Collins said to President Cole, "we have a choice to make. We can pretend we only have a few ships and send token help. Or we can show the galaxy what Earth is really capable of." President Cole looked at the screens showing the alien coordinates. Somewhere out there, billions of innocent beings were dying while monsters destroyed their worlds. How long would it take to get our fleet to those coordinates? He asked. "The closest system is 18 days at maximum burn," Admiral Collins replied. "But sir, if we send the entire fleet, there's no hiding what we are anymore. The galaxy will know that Earth isn't just another world with a few defensive ships. They'll know we're a military power." Ben looked up from his computer. "Admiral, I'm reading the news feeds from those star systems. The destruction is massive. Entire planets are being evacuated. Millions of ships full of refugees are trying to escape." Lisa added, "The coalition forces are being overwhelmed. Their message says they've already lost half their fleet trying to slow down these Zephyrian horde attackers." Jake watched President Cole think about the decision. The president was a good man who had always tried to do what was right. Now he had to choose between keeping Earth's secrets safe or saving alien civilizations that Earth had never even met. Finally, President Cole nodded. "Admiral Collins, prepare the fleet for immediate deployment." "All of it." Admiral Collins smiled, and this time it was a real smile. "Yes, sir. It's time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders can really do." She turned to Jake. "Send a message back to this coalition. Tell them Earth accepts their request for help. Tell them our fleet will arrive in 18 days. What should I tell them about how many ships we're sending?" Jake asked. Admiral Collins walked toward the door, already planning the biggest military operation in human history. "Don't tell them anything about numbers. Let it be a surprise." As the Admiral left to prepare Earth's secret armada for war, Jake looked at the alien coordinates on his screen. Soon, the galaxy would learn that Earth hadn't just survived being a death world. Earth had used that harsh experience to become something the universe had never seen before. An entire civilization of warriors, ready to fight for anyone who needed help. The age of human isolation was over. The age of Earth as protector of the galaxy was about to begin. Captain Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the EDS Valiant and watched the most amazing sight in human history. Through the massive viewing window, he could see hundreds of Earth warships moving into formation. The ships stretched out in all directions, their metal hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. "My God," whispered his second-in-command, Lieutenant Jim Foster. "I never thought I'd see them all together like this." Alex nodded. He had been in Earth's space fleet for 15 years, but even he had never seen the complete armada assembled in one place. The ships had been hidden across the solar system in secret bases. Now they were all here, ready for humanity's first mission beyond their home system. The largest ships were the battleships, massive vessels over 2 kilometers long. Their thick armor could stop asteroid impacts, and their weapons could destroy entire space stations. The EDS Sovereign, EDS Thunder, and EDS Constitution led this group, their captains already legends among the fleet. Behind them came the cruisers and destroyers. These ships were smaller but faster, built to hunt down enemy vessels and protect the larger ships. Captain Chris Martinez commanded the heavy cruiser Ed's Defiance, while Captain Emma Davis led the destroyer EDS Horizon. The carriers were something special. Ships like the EDS Enterprise and EDS Yorktown carried hundreds of small fighter craft inside their hulls. Each fighter was piloted by humans who had trained since childhood to fight in zero gravity. They could fly through asteroid fields and attack from directions that would be impossible for pilots from easier worlds. Commander Rachel Stone was busy on the EDS Enterprise, making sure all the supplies were loaded correctly. Her job was to keep the entire fleet fed, armed, and ready to fight during the long journey to alien space. She had organized enough food, fuel, and ammunition to fight a war that could last for months. "Captain Turner," came a voice over the radio. "This is Admiral Collins on the EDS Constitution. All ships report ready for departure." Alex looked around his bridge. His crew was the best Earth had trained. Engineer Pete Johnson had designed new fusion engines that could push human ships faster than anything the aliens expected. Communications. Officer Amy Foster had learned 17 different alien languages in case they needed to talk to coalition forces. Weapons Officer Mike Ryan could hit targets so small that other species would think it was impossible. "Ed's Valiant ready for hyperspace jump, Admiral," Alex reported. Across the fleet, over 800 captains gave the same report. Admiral Collins had divided them into 3 main groups. Alex would lead the vanguard, the fastest ships that would arrive first, and scout the situation. The main battle group would follow with the heavy weapons. The support group would bring medical ships, supply vessels, and everything needed to help evacuate alien civilians. Dr. Susan Wright was aboard one of the medical ships, the EDS Mercy. She had spent years studying alien biology based on the little information Earth had gathered from deep space signals. Her team was ready to treat wounded beings they had never seen before, using medical techniques that had been developed to help humans survive in Earth's dangerous environment. "All ships, this is Admiral Collins," came the announcement that everyone had been waiting for. "Today we make history. We are not just representing Earth anymore. We are representing the idea that strong people help those who cannot help themselves. The galaxy is about to learn what humans can do." The hyperspace jump was unlike anything in human experience. 800 ships disappeared from Earth's solar system in flashes of blue light, racing toward a star system 18 days away where aliens were dying by the millions. During the long journey through hyperspace, the crews trained constantly. Sergeant Maria Rodriguez led her Marines through combat drills in the Ed's Valiant's cargo bay. These soldiers had trained to fight in spacesuits, in zero gravity, and in the poisonous atmospheres of alien worlds. They practiced boarding enemy ships and rescuing civilians from damaged space stations. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Nash commanded the reconnaissance ships, small fast vessels that would scout ahead of the main fleet. His pilots had trained to gather information while staying hidden, using techniques that Earth's military had developed for fighting in asteroid belts and nebula clouds. On the 10th day of the journey, they received their first response from the coalition. The alien Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha sent a message thanking Earth for any help they could provide. The alien seemed grateful, but also sounded like he expected only a few human ships to arrive. "He has no idea what's coming," laughed Captain Danny Roberts from the bridge of the EDS Thunder. His battleship was armed with weapons that could crack the surface of small moons. The Thunder's crew had trained for ship-to-ship combat in the radiation storms around. Jupiter. Captain Helen Brooks commanded a group of ships dedicated to protecting evacuation transports. Her vessels were designed to form defensive shields around civilian ships while they escaped from combat zones. Every member of her crew had sworn an oath to put alien lives before their own safety. Captain Greg Miller led the Planetary Defense Group. His ships carried special equipment for fighting near planets and moons. They could use gravity wells as weapons and hide behind atmospheric layers that would blind most enemy sensors. As they got closer to their destination, the human crews began receiving more detailed information about their enemies. The Zephyrian Horde flew ships that were partly alive, biovessels that could heal damage and adapt to new threats. These creatures had destroyed dozens of worlds and killed billions of coalition citizens. Lieutenant Sam Clark was one of the fighter pilots aboard the ED's Yorktown. He had trained to fly in the terrible storms of Earth's upper atmosphere, where winds could reach hundreds of kilometers per hour and lightning could destroy aircraft instantly. Fighting alien bioships in the calm of space would be easy compared to what he had survived during training. On the 18th day, the human fleet prepared to drop out of hyperspace. Admiral Collins sent a final message to all ships. Remember why we're here. Those aliens out there think Earth is just another harsh world with a few defensive ships. They think Deathworlders are too busy surviving to build real military power. Today we show them they were wrong. Today we show them that sometimes the harsh worlds produce the best protectors. Captain Alex Turner felt his ship slow down as they approached normal space. Through the bridge windows, he could see the other human vessels appearing around him like deadly flowers blooming in the darkness. "Sir," reported Amy Foster from her communication station, "I'm detecting coalition ships ahead. They're very small compared to our fleet." Alex smiled. The aliens were about to get the biggest surprise in galactic history. Earth hadn't sent a few ships to help with evacuation. Earth had sent an entire armada to win a war. "All ships," Admiral Collins announced. "Welcome to the Kepler 442b system. Let's go save some lives." The human fleet moved forward into alien space, ready to fight for people they had never met, carrying the hopes of a world that had spent a century preparing for this moment. Captain Alex Turner stared at the viewing screen in shock. The Kepler 442b system was a nightmare of fire and destruction. Massive alien ships that looked like giant insects were attacking everything in sight. Strange bio-vessels with organic hulls were shooting streams of green plasma at orbital stations full of civilians. "Dear God," whispered Lieutenant Jim Foster. "Look at the size of those evacuation ships." Hundreds of coalition vessels were trying to escape the system. The alien ships were beautiful but fragile looking, made of crystal and metal that seemed to glow with inner light. They were packed with refugees from the planet below, but the Zephyrian attackers were hunting them down one by one. "Captain Turner," came Admiral Collins' voice over the radio. "Do you see what we're dealing with?" Alex watched a Zephyrian bioship destroy a coalition transport with a single blast of plasma. Thousands of alien civilians died in that moment, their ship breaking apart in silent explosions. "Yes, Admiral. The enemy has superior numbers and they're slaughtering the evacuation fleet." "Not for long," Admiral Collins replied. Her voice was cold and angry. "All ships, this is your Admiral. We came here to save lives. Those monsters down there are killing innocent people while we watch. That ends now." The human fleet split into 3 groups just as they had planned. Captain Danny Roberts took the EDS Thunder and the other battleships straight toward the largest Zephyrian vessels. Captain Helen Brooks led her defensive ships to protect the fleeing coalition transports. Captain Greg Miller moved his planetary defense group to establish a safe zone around the system's outer moons. Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha's ship, a beautiful crystal vessel called the Starlight, was desperately trying to coordinate the evacuation when the human fleet appeared. The alien admiral was shocked to see so many ships arriving from Earth. "Human vessels," came his translated voice over the communication system. "We thank you for coming to help us, but please stay back. These Zephyrian ships are incredibly dangerous." "How many ships did your world send?" Captain Emma Davis, commanding the destroyer Eds's Horizon, answered the call. "Coalition Admiral, this is Captain Davis of the Earth Defense Fleet. We have 812 ships ready for combat operations." There was a long silence on the communication channel. "Did you say 800 ships?" Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha finally replied, "That's impossible. Deathworlds don't have that kind of industrial capability." "You're about to learn what Deathworlds can really do," Emma said. The first battle began when Captain Danny Roberts led his battleships directly into the center of the Zephyrian formation. The enemy bioships turned to face this new threat, their organic weapons charging up to fire. The Thunder opened fire first. Its main guns, designed to punch through the ice of Europa's frozen surface, tore massive holes in the Zephyrian vessels. The alien ships had never faced weapons that powerful before, but the Zephyrians adapted quickly. Their bioships began swarming around the human vessels, trying to overwhelm them with numbers. Green plasma bolts filled the space around the Thunder and its sister ships. "Hull damage on Deck 7 and 8, reported the Thunder's damage control officer. "But armor is holding." Captain Roberts smiled grimly. His ship had been built to survive in Earth's radiation-filled magnetosphere. The Zephyrian plasma weapons were powerful, but not powerful enough to break through human military engineering. Lieutenant Sam Clark launched from the carrier EDS Yorktown with his fighter squadron. He had trained to fly through Earth's violent thunderstorms, dodging lightning bolts and hurricane winds. Flying between the bioships in the calm of space felt easy by comparison. "Red Squadron, follow my lead," Sam called to his pilots. "These bugs don't know how to deal with atmospheric combat techniques." The human fighters dove toward the Zephyrian ships, using the debris from destroyed vessels as cover. They flew patterns that Coalition pilots had never seen before, weaving through the enemy formation like they were dodging between asteroids in a belt. The Zephyrian pilots were confused. Their bioships were designed to fight in neat formations against other organized fleets. The humans fought like they were in a three-dimensional storm, appearing from unexpected directions and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Captain Monica Hayes commanded the heavy cruiser Eads Titan. She watched her crew work with the smooth efficiency that came from training in Earth's crushing gravity. While other species needed machines to help them move in high acceleration, her people could function normally even when their ship was pulling dangerous maneuvers. "Target the largest bioship," Monica ordered, ramming speed. Her bridge crew looked at her in surprise, but they followed orders. The Titan accelerated directly toward a Zephyrian command vessel that was 3 times larger than the human cruiser. "Captain," called her first officer, "that's suicide." "Not for a ship built on Earth," Monica replied. The Titan struck the bioship at full speed. The human vessel's reinforced hull, designed to survive impacts with space debris at high velocity, tore through the organic armor of the alien ship like a sword through flesh. The Zephyrian vessel broke apart, its biosystems failing as the Titan punched completely through its center section. Coalition Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha watched this battle tactic in amazement. That human captain just destroyed a vessel 5 times. Her size by ramming it. How is that possible? Dr. Lisa Parker, who was monitoring communications from the EDS Constitution, explained, "Admiral, our ships are built to survive in one of the galaxy's most dangerous environments. What looks like suicide to you is just another day of flying near Earth." The battle continued for 6 hours. Sergeant Maria Rodriguez led a boarding party onto a damaged Zephyrian bioship, her Marines fighting through toxic atmosphere and organic defenders that would have killed most species. The humans wore armor designed for Earth's harshest environments and carried weapons that could function in any conditions. By the end of the engagement, the evacuation was complete. Every Coalition transport had escaped safely, protected by human ships that absorbed damage that would have destroyed any other vessels in the galaxy. The Zephyrian fleet retreated, but not before losing over half their ships to the human counterattack. Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha sent a message to Admiral Collins as the last Coalition vessels jumped to safety. "Admiral Collins, I must ask, what kind of world creates warriors like your people? We have never seen such aggressive and effective combat." Techniques. Admiral Collins looked at the tactical display showing the destroyed Zephyrian ships and the saved Coalition civilians. "Admiral, Earth taught us that the universe is a dangerous place. We learned to be more dangerous than anything else out there. As the human fleet prepared to jump to the next crisis system, Captain Alex Turner realized that everything had changed. The galaxy now knew that Earth wasn't just another struggling death world. Earth was a military power unlike anything the stars had ever seen. The age of human protection had begun with fire and victory. News of the human victory at Kepler 442b spread across the galaxy faster than their ships could travel. Admiral Patricia Collins stood in the command center of the EDS Constitution, reading intelligence reports from coalition sources throughout known space. Every alien government wanted to know more about these mysterious Deathworlders who had appeared with an entire war fleet. "Admiral," reported Captain Tony Anderson, Earth's chief tactical analyst, "we're getting requests for information from over 40 different species. They all want to know how many ships we really have." Admiral Collins smiled as she looked at the star charts showing their next destination. "Let them wonder. Mystery is a weapon too." The human fleet was now traveling toward Proxima Centauri C, the second system that needed help. During the journey, Coalition Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha had been sharing intelligence about their enemy with the humans. What they learned was both fascinating and terrifying. Dr. Lisa Parker worked with alien scientists to understand the Zephyrian horde better. The enemy wasn't just another aggressive species. They were a hive mind, millions of individual creatures all controlled by a single consciousness. Their bioships were literally alive, grown rather than built, and they could adapt to new threats faster than any mechanical vessel. "The problem," Lisa explained to Admiral Collins, "is that they learn from every battle. By now, they know our tactics from the first engagement. They'll be ready for us at Proxima Centauri." Lieutenant Colonel Barry White was studying the intelligence reports about Zephyrian ground forces. His Marines had boarded one of their damaged ships after the last battle, and what they found was disturbing. The creatures inside were part of a collective mind that shared information instantly across their entire species. "Admiral," Barry reported, "when we captured that bioship, we discovered something important. The Zephyrians evolved on a world with very low gravity and thin atmosphere. Their bodies are adapted for that environment. But here's the interesting part. They can't function well in the conditions that are normal for us." Admiral Collins raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Ma'am, Earth's high gravity, thick atmosphere, and intense radiation would kill most Zephyrians in minutes. But those same conditions made us stronger. We can operate in environments that would be lethal to most species in the galaxy." Captain Tony Anderson pulled up a tactical display showing the differences between human and alien capabilities. "Admiral, I've been analyzing combat data from the first battle. Our reaction times are faster than any coalition species on record. Our bone density is higher, our muscle strength is greater, and most importantly, we can make individual decisions without waiting for orders from a central command." This last point was crucial. The Zephyrian hive mind was incredibly coordinated, but it was also predictable. Once humans understood the patterns, they could anticipate what the enemy would do next. But humans fighting as individuals were chaotic and unpredictable in ways that confused the collective intelligence. Engineer Pete Johnson had been working with coalition scientists to understand Zephyrian technology. Their bioships used living tissue instead of metal and circuits. This made them self-repairing and adaptable, but it also created weaknesses that mechanical ships didn't have. "The bioships need specific atmospheric conditions to function properly," Pete explained. "If we can disrupt their internal environment, we can shut down their weapons and propulsion systems." 3 days before reaching Proxima Centauri C, the human fleet received disturbing news. Coalition scouts reported that the Zephyrians had learned from their defeat. Instead of the few hundred ships that had attacked the first system, over 3,000 biovessels were now surrounding Proxima Centauri C, In a massive defensive formation, Captain Emma Davis, aboard the ED's Horizon, was the first to spot the enemy fleet as they dropped out of hyperspace. "Admiral, you need to see this," she reported. The tactical display showed a sphere of Zephyrian bioships completely surrounding the planet. They had positioned themselves so that any rescue attempt would have to fight through multiple layers of enemies. The human fleet of 800 ships was outnumbered almost 4-1. Coalition Admiral Keth 7 Blue, who had taken command after Admiral Zeph 9 Alpha was wounded in the first battle, sent an urgent message to Admiral Collins. "Human Admiral, the situation is impossible. The Zephyrians have too many ships. Even with your impressive capabilities, attacking that formation would be suicide. We should retreat and wait for more coalition reinforcements." Admiral Collins studied the tactical display for a long moment. Every human captain was waiting for her decision. They could retreat and come back later with a larger force, or they could attack now and risk losing the entire fleet. "Captain Anderson," she said finally, "send a message to all ship commanders. We're implementing Deathworld doctrine." Tony looked surprised. "Ma'am, we've never used that in actual combat. It's only been tested in simulations. Then today we find out if our theories work in the real world." Deathworld doctrine was a combat strategy that only humans could use. Instead of treating space as a safe environment where ships maintained careful distances from each other, it treated the vacuum as just another hostile environment to be conquered. Human vessels would fight in tight formations, using their superior construction and crew abilities to survive in conditions that would destroy other ships. Captain Roy Phillips, commanding the dreadnought ED Sovereign, received his orders with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "All ships, this is the Sovereign. We're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten innocent people in front of Deathworlders." The human fleet formed into attack groups that no coalition tactician had ever seen. Instead of spreading out for safety, they moved closer together, creating overlapping fields of fire and mutual protection. Each group was designed to punch through the Zephyrian formation like a spear through armor. Chief Engineer Linda Green, aboard the EDS Defiance, made a discovery that would change the course of the battle. While studying the electromagnetic signatures of the bioships, she realized that human fusion reactors could be overloaded in a controlled way to create powerful electromagnetic pulses. "Captain Martinez," she reported to her commander, "I think I know how to disrupt their hive-mind connection. If we can generate electromagnetic interference at the right frequency, we can isolate individual bioships from their collective consciousness." "Captain." Chris Martinez immediately understood the implications. A Zephyrian ship cut off from the hive mind would be confused and vulnerable. "Exactly, sir. And our ships are shielded against electromagnetic interference because of Earth's magnetic field. We can use weapons that would disable our own electronics if we weren't protected." As the human fleet approached the Zephyrian formation, Admiral Collins sent one final message to her captains. "Remember why we're here. Down on that planet are millions of innocent beings waiting to be rescued. The enemy thinks they're numbers. Give them victory. They're about to learn that sometimes quality beats quantity, and sometimes the harsh worlds produce the toughest fighters." The largest space battle in galactic history was about to begin, and Earth's children were ready to prove that Deathworlders made the best protectors in the universe. The Battle of Proxima Centauri C began with a sight that would be remembered for thousands of years. 800 human warships formed into tight attack formations and charged directly into the center of 3,000 Zephyrian biovessels. No species in galactic history had ever attempted such a desperate assault against impossible odds. Captain Roy Phillips stood on the bridge of the EDS Sovereign as his massive dreadnought led the main attack. Around him, his crew worked with the calm efficiency that came from training in Earth's crushing gravity. When the Zephyrian plasma weapons began firing, the bridge shook violently, but every human remained at their post. Hull integrity holding at 90%, reported his damage control officer. Armor is absorbing most of the impact. Roy smiled grimly. The Sovereign had been built to survive in Earth's radiation-filled magnetosphere, where solar storms could destroy unprotected ships. The bioplasma weapons of the Zephyrians were powerful, but not powerful enough to break through human engineering. Return. Fire, Roy ordered. Show them what Deathworld weapons can do. The Sovereign's main guns opened fire, sending streams of superheated metal into the bioships ahead. Each shot was designed to punch through the thick ice of Europa's surface, and the organic armor of the Zephyrian vessels offered little resistance. Chief Engineer Linda Green was working frantically aboard the EDS, Defiance, to implement her electromagnetic pulse weapon. She had discovered that human fusion reactors could be overloaded safely to create powerful electromagnetic interference that would disrupt the Zephyrian hive mind. "Captain Martinez," she called out, "I'm ready to test the pulse." Weapon. Captain Chris Martinez watched the tactical display showing hundreds of bioships swarming around his cruiser. "Do it, Linda. Let's see if we can break their connection." Linda activated the modified fusion reactor. A wave of electromagnetic energy spread out from the Defiance, invisible but incredibly powerful. Immediately, the Zephyrian ships in the area began acting strangely. Instead of coordinated attacks, they started flying in random directions, confused and disoriented. "It's working!" Linda shouted. "The electromagnetic pulse is cutting them off from their hive mind. They don't know what to do without their collective consciousness." Admiral Collins heard the report and immediately sent orders to the entire fleet. "All ships, implement electromagnetic pulse tactics. Isolate the bioships from their command structure." Across the human fleet, fusion reactors began overloading in controlled bursts. The electromagnetic interference that would have disabled most ships meant nothing to human vessels, which were shielded against the powerful magnetic fields of Earth. But for the Zephyrian bioships, losing connection to their hive mind was like suddenly becoming blind and deaf. Lieutenant Sam Clark led his fighter squadron through the confused enemy formation. The Zephyrian pilots, cut off from their collective intelligence, were trying to fight as individuals for the first time in their species' history. They had no experience with independent decision-making, and their biofighters crashed into each other as they attempted uncoordinated attacks. "This is like shooting fish in a barrel," Sam reported to his carrier. "The enemy fighters don't know how to function without constant orders from their command ships." But the battle took a dramatic turn when Commander Paul Jackson detected something unusual on his sensors. One of the Zephyrian vessels was different from the others. It was enormous, the size of a small moon, and it seemed to be the source of the hive mind signals. "Admiral Collins," Paul reported from his reconnaissance ship, "I found what looks like their command vessel. It's massive, probably contains their central consciousness." Admiral Collins studied the sensor readings. The bioship was heavily defended, surrounded by hundreds of smaller vessels that seemed to be protecting it at all costs. "Commander Jackson, take a boarding team and investigate that ship. We need to understand what we're really fighting." Paul assembled a team of Marines led by Lieutenant Colonel Barry White. Their mission was incredibly dangerous. They would have to board an enemy vessel while the largest space battle in history raged around them. But these were humans who had trained to fight in the vacuum of space, in radiation storms, and in the toxic atmospheres of alien worlds. The boarding party fought their way through the bioship's organic defenses. The interior was like being inside a living creature, with walls that pulsed and floors that felt warm underfoot. Barry's Marines used weapons designed to function in any environment, cutting through biological barriers that would have stopped most species. Deep inside the ship, they found the Zephyrian Queen Mind, a massive organic brain that controlled the entire hive consciousness. But what they discovered there changed everything Paul and Barry had thought about their enemy. "Admiral," Paul reported breathlessly. "You need to hear this. The Queen Mind is trying to communicate with us." Through their translation equipment, a weak voice came through. It sounded ancient and tired, filled with desperation rather than aggression. "Please," the voice said, "we did not want this war. We are running from something far worse. Our home galaxy has been consumed by the silence. It destroys not just worlds, but the very concept of life itself. We attack because we have nowhere else to go." Admiral Collins felt a chill run down her spine. "Commander, are you saying these creatures are refugees?" "Yes, Admiral. They've been fleeing across space for generations. The silence has already destroyed their entire spiral arm of the galaxy. They attack coalition worlds because they're desperate to find somewhere safe for their species to survive." The battle around them continued to rage, but Admiral Collins faced an impossible decision. She could complete the destruction of the Zephyrian fleet, or she could try to find another solution. Only a Deathworlder would even consider a third option. "All ships, cease fire," she ordered. "Form a defensive perimeter around both the Zephyrian survivors and the Coalition evacuation fleet." Her captains were confused, but they followed orders. The human fleet moved into a protective formation that shielded both sides from further combat. Dr. Lisa Parker worked frantically to establish communication with the Queen Mind. Using translation protocols developed during the battle, she managed to create a dialogue between humans and the desperate Zephyrian consciousness. "We understand your fear," Lisa said to the alien mind. "But killing innocent people is not the answer. Earth offers you something different, an alliance." The Queen Mind seemed surprised. "You would help us fight the silence? Your species barely knows us." Admiral Collins stepped forward to address the alien consciousness directly. "Where we come from, the strong protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will help you find a way to survive without destroying others." The final scene of the battle showed something unprecedented in galactic history. Human ships formed a protective shield around both Coalition evacuation vessels and Zephyrian bioships. The three fleets, human, Coalition, and reformed Zephyrian, prepared to work together against a greater threat. As the combined fleet began planning new defensive positions against the silence, deep space sensors detected the first signs of something terrible approaching their galaxy. Dark spots appeared on the star charts, places where entire solar systems simply stopped existing. Admiral Collins looked at the tactical display showing their new alliance. Earth had not just announced itself to the galaxy as another member species. Humanity had declared itself the protector of all life against the darkness between the stars. The age of human isolation was over. The age of Earth as the galaxy's shield had begun.